What's up, Ida Gang? Welcome into Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. I'm your host here for Reed. It is officially Catalyst season here. We've got Project Catalyst funding round number 14 voting underway, an opportunity for new entrants into the ecosystem to showcase proposals, right, and to receive grant funding from the community. Today, we're going to be talking about Web3 Cardano and ensuring transactions. Now, I'm going to be joined by Ritam Gupta, the founder of Web3 Shield, to break down their offering in their Project Catalyst proposal. Without any further ado, let me bring up today's guest. Excuse me, Ritam. Welcome up. How are you?
Hey Farid, I'm good. How's it going?
I can't complain. It is the end of the week here, and Catalyst is underway. There's a lot going on in the ecosystem. And so, thank you for taking the time to join me and to present your proposal here with the broader community. As always, we're going to kick things off here with a brief introduction. So, I'd love to hear a little bit about who you are, the experience, and how you've come into the space. And then we'll jump into everything insurance and Web3 Shield.
Cool, that sounds good. I'll quickly begin by introducing myself. First of all, a hello to the entire audience. This is Rhythm Gupta, co founder and CEO for Web3 Shield. Um, if I introduce myself personally first, then it's been almost over 9 years that I've been in the Web3 space. Still doesn't seem as if it's a long time, and we still say that it's early for us here. Having said that, I come from a technical background. I started my journey as a developer almost 9.5 years back, then moved into consultation and then eventually into business. I've had multiple sprints with different MNCs across the globe, helping them and consulting them for use cases in Web3 and blockchain, including Deloitte's EMEA Blockchain Lab, Career Builder Group based out of North America, and so on and so forth. Having said that, almost 7 years back, I realized that it's time for me to start something by my own. That is where I started a development studio called Nonce Blocks, full time in Dubai. I'm based in Dubai, by the way. And when I started the dev studio, the idea was to become a leading a tech integrations partner for leading projects in the Web3 space. And we have been working for the same since then. Um, just to mention a few names from the clientele that we had dealt with includes Dolce and Gabbana, the Sandbox, Animoca brands, Polygon, and a few others. Everything is available online, and you should be able to see that. But yeah, I mean, meanwhile, I was doing it, and I was scaling the company to almost over 250 people in the development studio, and with different verticals coming into it. I personally like to solve problems. I classify myself as a problem solver, and I try to solve things in a way that it becomes some sort of value add for the community. I'm a repeat founder. While I was doing the dev studio and I was scaling the dev studio, I did start a product that was into Web3 gaming, Web3 fantasy gaming, almost close to 5 years back, 5.5 years back. And again, I mean, it was one of its own kind where fantasy sports got clubbed with Web3. Started as a passion project, but then eventually it became a serious business where I ended up raising $5.5 million, got it launched on Burj Khalifa, had a good traction in the first couple of years. And while I was working on it and saw the entire life cycle of the product, I got various different acquisition offers, and then eventually I had taken an exit out of it. Post that, I've been thinking, what else can I do in the space? The idea has always been very simple, that I want to create value for the ecosystem, not for the sake of saying, but I feel that this is a moral responsibility of someone like me who's been in the space long enough to do something that is legit and that makes the adoption of Web3, adoption of crypto easier. and unless the adoption comes in, we are never gonna say that we are late in the space. So with that thing in mind, I stumbled upon the idea of Web3 Shield. That's all things insurance or transaction insurance for every transaction on Web3. Um, I usually say that insurance is not something that is new in the Web3 space. A lot of projects and a lot of players have tried insurance. However, I personally feel, and again, it's my own opinion, that insurance in the Web3 space has never been implemented correctly. When you think about insurance, and especially in Web3, I mean, the first image that's going to come to your mind would be suited booted people speaking to each other. But that's not how insurance should be. Insurance should be embedded into the system in the easiest way possible, where it should be exposed to the retail users, to the end users, in a way where it becomes the part of the process without them even realizing that they are insured for things. And that's exactly what Web3 Shield does. It provides a micro level insurance for any transaction that you do on chain, be it a cross chain bridging transaction, be it a staking transaction, restaking transaction, a stable coin transaction, whatsoever. You are insured on all the transactions that you do, and you don't need to worry about anything happening to your funds, any rug pull, any exploit or hack happening, any delays due to network congestion whatsoever. You just simply get the power to do any sort of transaction, even blindfolded. That's what the vision of Web3 Shield has been. So yeah, concluding it, Web3 Shield is an insurance layer for blockchain, um, wherein it provides the power of insurance for the end user on their fingertips. That's what it does.
Perfect. And thank you. So, for anyone who isn't aware, I'll leave the link to the official website down below. It's available at web3shield.com. You guys currently have a test net on base. Again, you guys have a product out there, but you guys looking to migrate into the Cardano ecosystem. So, this will sort of be a twofold question now that we've got the introduction out of the way. First is, why is this important for Cardano? And then, second, maybe break down a little bit of the Catalyst proposal and what comes with that. Is this just a direct integration? Are you guys planning on building out new features? Would love to hear a little bit about, bringing this into the Cardano ecosystem now that you guys have a product on the testnet on base.
Got it. Before I answer these questions, I'll say so Cardano is still a new ecosystem to me personally. I've been involved and I have worked uh, in the past few years with a lot of ecosystems, with a lot of chains. But I never really, I mean, Cardano never really got my attention due to, again, I mean, reasons that I would not really like to mention, but I would still say the day I stumbled upon Cardano, one thing that caught my attention was the seriousness of the community for the chain. Whatever community members and the players that we have in the ecosystem, and the more I've been speaking to them, I'm realizing that they're quite passionate and they're hardcore ADA maximalist, and they want to do anything to make it succeed. And that is something that really grabbed my attention and made me believe that this is a chain with a superior tech stack, and that is why we should be building on top of Cardano. Luckily, luckily we got aligned well with the Catalyst program, wherein we found that okay, it's our chance to build in public, in front of the community and for the community. So didn't really want to miss that, and that is why we submitted a proposal to Catalyst. Coming to your questions on how we are gonna and what we are gonna do and what the proposal is all about. So we are already an existing product that provides a one-click insurance for every transaction on chain, regardless of what chain are you on and what protocol are you using, what sort of transaction you are doing. It's just that you can get insurance for everything right up front at a very minimal cost. For Cardano, we are trying to mimic the same product. We have done a time gated testnet launch on base blockchain earlier, for cross-chain transactions. And the idea is right now to migrate it to build the product for Cardano chain and provide insurances for the different projects and the systems running on Cardano chain. And we have been speaking to a lot of projects, including one of the stable coins that's called Anzens, and a few other wallets and dApps in the ecosystem already. So we are trying to explore on how the roadmap is going to be looking like. We submitted the proposal for the same, that we want to migrate and we want to expand the product on Cardano chain and build in the public. Um, it's a 9-month roadmap that we have presented in the proposal, with I think 5 different milestones that we have written over there, step by step and process by process, on how things would be. Ultimately, the goal is to let the users of Cardano chain be enjoying the benefits of micro insurance on any project and anywhere that they want to go and they want to use. How it is going to benefit the ecosystem and how it is going to be benefiting and beneficial for Cardano, there are multiple reasons that are well explained in the proposal. However, I would maybe mention a few of them. The first one, obviously, is the hardcore security and assurance that the users are going to get. Um, I wouldn't say that Cardano has been experiencing a lot of rug pulls every single day or every other day, but risk is inevitable. It can happen any day, any time, without even giving an intimation that that is going to happen, right? Any sort of hack, any sort of exploit pushes the community back, pushes the ecosystem back by several years. And that's a very big setback for any ecosystem in general, or I would say Web3 in general. I mean, when we saw uh, Terra Luna collapsing, when we saw FTX collapsing, we really and literally got pushed back in the timeline by a few years, where the inevitable bear market started from Terra Luna. If I try to see the timeline, right, and it is so bad for any ecosystem if, let's say, a rug or an exploit happens, right? So it's always important to be prepared and to be assured, so that eventually, even if something happens, even if a risk um, is there, it's good to be hedging for that risk, and it's good to be insured where the money for the end users is not lost. They have something to get back, and be assured that they are not going to lose money, even if there's a network congestion, even if there's a network hack, network exploit, or any sort of protocol that is exploited, or eventually even if there's a rug, right? So all of those things are going to be there for the Cardano ecosystem. In addition, it's going to add so much transaction volume to the ecosystem because it's a micro insurance. And when I say micro insurance, think of it like an atomic insurance for every single transaction that you do. As a user, you don't need to pay for an annual insurance premium and then get to enjoy the benefits of it, because you don't know how many transactions you are going to be doing in the year. Maybe you do one transaction, maybe you do 100,000 transactions, right? So you don't have to pay an annual premium for that, just as a conventional insurance demand you to do. This is an atomic insurance. You you have an option to do a pay as you go model, wherein whatever transaction and whatever protocol you are using, the Web3 Shield system is smart enough to calculate the premium on runtime and give you an insurance premium right over there. So you just have to click a button of add insurance, and that's it. Whatever transaction, let's say you're doing a staking transaction, you click the checkbox of add insurance, and your transaction is insured. Now, until the transaction finality is achieved, till the time you don't get your funds back, you are all insured. You don't need to worry about any of the risk factors being involved over there. At the same time, every time a transaction is happening on chain, an insurance transaction also happens at the back end. So the transaction volume significantly increases, and it's all a decentralized system wherein you can go on the explorers and see how much was the insurance premium, what transaction was insured, what timestamp it was on, and all the other things that are necessary to be seeing in an insurance.
Perfect. And thank you. I think two things as we get ready to wind things down here. Um, how much does the insurance cost? And then what have you seen so far, in times past where things have had to be insured?
Yeah, so how much does the insurance cost is? So again, it's a very cheap insurance because the idea is to keep the insurance premium as minimal as possible. I mean, no one sane in the world would basically be paying, let's say, $100 premium for $100 transaction, and we don't believe in doing that. And that's the beauty of it. While we are doing an atomic insurance, we are able to significantly reduce the insurance premium for that particular transaction that the user does. However, the insurance premium gets to be decided based on various different parameters, depending upon what platform are you doing the transaction, what sort of transaction are you using, are you carrying out. I mean, if you are, let's say, doing a stable coin transaction somewhere, the insurance premium would be different. If you are doing a staking transaction, it would be different, so on and so forth, right? And then how secure the protocol that you are using, um, how how your wallet has been used previously is also a factor that basically gets to be considered. Like various different factors, everything is available on our Gitbook if you want to see that, on how we calculate our insurance premiums. But for EVM chains, what we have observed that the premium comes out to be less than 0.03% of any transaction that you carry out. And similarly, we assume the premium is somehow gonna be on the same lines for Cardano.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. Want to definitely keep that as low as possible, right? To be able to really appeal to as many people as possible. And so,
Yeah.
Tom, as we get ready to wind things down here, you've talked about Web3 Shield, the Catalyst proposal, any sort of highlights that you want to share that might be of importance with the community. And then as we wind down, how can people reach out to you or just maybe get more involved with Web3 Shield in general?
Definitely. Again, I mean, I think we have spent a lot of our efforts and we have done a lot of hard work to get the proposal with all the detailings that we feel are necessary for the community to know us and try to understand what we are trying to do. We have tried to keep it very concise and precise with the information that is just up to the mark and not really much more in detail. We have got a good team and a set of good advisors, including people from insurance division, people from Web3 division, and a lot of SMEs involved as well. Having said that, we are not really a new product trying to build just an idea. We are an existing product that is already having a product launched in a different blockchain and already have something to show to the people, and eventually trying to replicate the same and bring that security on Cardano as well. So that's the idea, and eventually the team is experienced enough, and I'm a repeat founder, so I know how do I make it a success. We have been putting in our sweat and blood into it and trying to make good value for the ecosystem in Cardano. Again, I think it's very important for community to understand what role does insurance solve, and it's very hard for a lot of people to understand why insurance is needed for any sort of ecosystem. I mean, not just specific to Cardano, but like why for any ecosystem and why in Web3 do we need it. And I usually give this analogy to everyone I speak about Web3 Shield, and I think it's very important for me to say it here as well. Just consider the example of a nation's progress, right? I mean, if a nation is called as a developing nation, the conventional insurance, let's say the health insurance, life insurance, is never really a mandate from the governments, right? Unless a nation reaches to a level of being called as a developed nation, right? Especially speaking, nations in the West have always had health insurance as a mandate, where they get to. I mean, it's mandatorily required for them to have an health insurance. Nations in the East and a lot of even Middle Eastern nations, they didn't really have any sort of health insurance required to be done. But that transition from being uh, a developing nation to a developed nation demands processes to be in place, demands compliances to be in place, and demands insurance to be in place, because that's an core item of the entire transition, right? Similar to that, while we are in the early stages of Web3 right now, while we are moving towards the mass adoption stage, insurance has to become a mandate. Insurance needs to become a mandate. And with regulators coming in, with compliances getting stringent, with governments jumping into the ecosystems, right, into Web3 in general, uh, the last thing we want is the users to lose their money due to any sort of scam, due to any sort of hacks, and all of that black side, right? I mean, we don't really want to expose what the black side of Web3 is. So that is where I definitely feel, and I strongly feel that the role of insurance becomes very core to the working of Web3 as and when we move towards the phase of mass adoption. And that is why adoption, if not today, if not tomorrow, has to become a mandate and has to become a norm in Web3. And that is what we are trying to do. How you reach out to us, I think we are pretty much most active on Twitter as well as emails. Anything that is required, info at the rate web3shield.com is where you can shoot an email to us. Otherwise, we've been and we'll be posting very aggressively about every update that we are going to be getting on our Twitter account, that is Web3 Shield. I think I'm gonna maybe you can paste it somewhere so that people can see it.
Yep. As always, links to everything that Ritam has mentioned down below as a part of today's video description. That'll do it here. First off, welcome into the community. Definitely look forward to seeing your face across the ecosystem. And again, for anyone who's watching this, an opportunity to bring one-click insurance right to multiple types of transactions within the Cardano network or the Cardano ecosystem. If you haven't already put your ADA to use, make sure to definitely consider giving this an upvote. Again, we don't have many, if any, insurance products here within the ecosystem. And so these are essentially pioneers. Again, we want to show them support through Catalyst, and you have an opportunity to do that as an everyday ADA holder. Now, if you found today's video or interview to be of value, informative, or if it just taught you anything, I would appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up on the way out. If you want more content just like this, speaking with builders, consider subscribing to the channel. And if you have any questions for me or the Web3 Shield team, feel free as always to go ahead and voice off down below in that comment section. I'll answer them if I'm able to, and if I'm not, I'll make sure to pass those along to Ritam and team for them to be able to do so. That said, and as always, we'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers, everybody. Take care.